Tactical RockNRolla. Going to go over the Bryco arms model 38. This is a Bryco arms model 38. So essentially this is a 386 plus 1 capacity, really small, on the cheaper end of the pistol. On the cheaper end as far as cost goes, not a bad pistol to have, definitely great to carry. I would use this more as a backup weapon than anything else, something you leave around the house or in the car or on your ankle. I wouldn't use it as a primary, but not a horrible weapon, definitely cost effective. This gun is unique in nature because, again, this is a Bryco Arms Model 38. There's also a Jennings Model 38, which is the same thing. It's going to work the same exact way as far as disassembly. Basically, all the components, everything is the same. There's also a Jimenez JA 380, which is all the same. There's 3 companies that make the same exact weapon. The company just changed hands 3 times, so the molds were transferred over. So again, you can use this process for the Bryco Model 38, Jennings Model 38, and the JA 380 by Jimenez Arms. So again, we're going to go over basic disassembly first, then reassembly of the weapon. First things first, we always make the gun safe. So first thing we're going to do is release the mag. The mag release here is a little catch right here. You're just going to slide back. The mag comes right out. Then we visually inspect, turn that over. As you can see, the barrel port, we're going to pull that back, visually inspect. Once we know that is safe, we can start the disassembly process. So one thing I'll notice, you do notice this little orange post that pops out. Basically that tells you when the gun is ready to fire. Basically the firing pin is in a cocked back position, ready to strike the bullet. So be aware of that, but once you know the gun is safe, that's not going to be an issue. But once this process is done, noticing the orange post, you'll notice that there is, essentially it's a circle with a post at the bottom of it. And what you're going to want to do is, as you can see here, I have it's a little bit scratched up because I've been using metal to disassemble this weapon, and that's not ideal. So now what I'm going to use is just basically a pen top. It's plastic, so it won't scratch the paint anymore. I can just touch that up with some Duracoat or something like that. Again, this gun is seen action, so that's not my major concern. Basically, the way that disassembly is going to work is, like with most guns, you're going to put a little bit of pressure back on the slide using an overhand grip. You don't have to put much, just basically 1/4 inch or more back on there. And once you hold that slide back, you're going to use the plastic tip of this and push down on that metal ring with the post that comes out that surrounds this little post, this orange post. You're going to push that forward with the slide cocked back and lift up, and it's going to come right out. So essentially there's a hook on the bottom of this post that hooks into the bottom of the receiver, and you just have to push it forward and it will unlatch right, and I will show you that right now. So we're going to push the slide back and then push down on that post and lift up the slide. And as you can see, that'll pop right out. Do be careful that since this is attached to a spring, it does have the tendency to shoot out. So it would be good for you to be mindful of that and just be aware that this has the tendency to shoot out, as well as the spring pop right out. So definitely be mindful of that. So definitely be careful of that. But essentially that is it. Once that is done, you can lift the slide, push that forward, slide is off, and then you just tilt that up in the firing pin, which is this. So this is the firing pin, and that is what hits the bullet. That is what sets it off. This is the orange post that shows you when it is ready to fire. Right there, that is the orange post that lets you know when the gun is ready to fire. This hook, this hook right here, that is the hook that I was talking about before, where it latches in to the receiver as so. This is how this piece fits in. There's a bar as you can see right there, that silver bar that this hook latches into, and that is what keeps the gun in place. So essentially that's what you're doing, is you're just pushing tension on this, moving it forward, and that will allow the slide to come up. This will come back out of the back of the slide, and that's how this gun is disassembled. This gun is a little bit different than most, where it has the barrel and the receiver all as one piece. The barrel is attached to the receiver. You cannot change the barrel on this gun. If the barrel fails, the gun is useless. But that is why this gun is cost effective. Not a lot of parts. Again, just a cost effective 380. Just basically an option out there. For anyone who's just looking for a backup gun or a cheap 380 to just play with, this is a good way to go. So again, just to go over all the different parts, this is what we call the receiver. This is the main part. That's pretty much without a full detailed disassembly. That's field stripped, ready to go, ready to be cleaned. Set that aside. Firing pin right here. That's going to sit right here in this spring, like so. This spring is going to be what pushes the firing pin into the bullet and sets off the round. This is going to be the recoil spring for the slide. So this is going to fit just in this little notch, this little seat right here, just underneath the barrel, just like so. And that just controls the slide. This is the piece that keeps the firing pin and the firing pin spring, as well as the slide, connected to the receiver. So other than that, just a few pieces. This gun may appear to be tricky to disassemble, but it's really easy. Once you get the basic steps down, just pull back on the slide, put a little bit of tension on this piece here, and then lift up on the slide away from the receiver, just like so, in this direction, and it slides right off. So for reassembly, basically everything's going to be in reverse as always. We'll take the recoil spring, which is symmetrical in nature, the same on both sides, so it does not matter. Do notice that there is a small circle or post that sits underneath the barrel in this seat. So the spring will sit right around that post, like so. So the spring will not fall out. It's wrapped around that post, and it seats nice and well right in there. Once that is done, actually you can set that down. Next step is going to be just rebuild the slide and the firing pin assembly all back together. So the best way to do that, again, remember this is the firing pin that hits the bullet. So that's going to go into the slide like that. Remember, this is the orange post that sticks out that lets you know when the gun is ready to fire. So in the slide, back of the slide. So front of the slide, orange, back of the slide. Once that is done, the spring is going to go over the orange end and rest against this wall right here on the firing pin. This end of the spring, also this spring is symmetrical in nature, so it does not matter which way you put it on. So this end of the spring right here is going to rest against this part. It's going to seat right into this part right here, just like so. And that's going to create the tension to send this firing pin off and hit the bullet. And that's basically how this gun works. Very simple, very basic design, but that's how it's going to go back together. You can remember this notch is going to fit into this bar, is going to fit. So just remember, this notch is going to fit into this bar on the receiver. So it would sit like this, and that's how this gun would be reassembled. It seems a little bit trickier than it is. I just wanted to be very detailed so everyone understands how to do this, and we're just going to reassemble it right now. So we're just going to put firing pin assembly into the slide like so. And you can see how that would work. So it's going to be a little bit easier to put it back together. You can use it with a tool or without a tool. I've done both. Using the tool makes it a little bit easier. But just again, be mindful of this. Since it's on the spring, this can shoot out and go across the room. So when you do this, just be mindful of that. It has happened before, especially I think the first time I did it. It took me a couple minutes to find where this landed. So just be mindful of that, and it'll be easy to put back together. So basically, you're just going to put the barrel through the top hole in the slide and just create tension on this recoil spring onto the bottom part of that slide. Like so. Always being mindful of this piece again. Remember, that's on a spring, so that'll easily shoot up. And then we're just going to push this back. Then we're just going to push this back and have this rest right here, as you can see on the back of the spring. And rest right on the back of the receiver, as you can see right there. And then we're just going to use the tool to push this down and sit right over that bar. Just like so. Just like so. Then as you see, the slide drops right down. That is seating in place. You pull that slide back, you see the orange post pops out. Pull the trigger. That is a functional weapon. This gun is reassembled. Bryco Arms Model 38, same as the Jennings Model 38 and the JA380, all the same. They will all disassemble and reassemble just the same. Tactical RockNRolla, tacticalrocknrolla@gmail.com. Please subscribe, leave comments.